1-800-900-1767.
You are listening to the show that is all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You're listening to Get Down to Business. I'm your host, Shalom Klein. We are continuing that discussion about young people that are getting out there, hopefully with Kathy's advice, finding their first job, and now they're starting to look for their first home. Thrilled to be joined in studio with Justin Lopatin of Pearl Mortgage and Esther Kapetansky, a real estate broker, who's going to talk to us a little bit about what the housing market is like these days. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please introduce yourself? Justin, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, Shalom. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
I am a mortgage banker with Pearl Mortgage, residential lender, so we help people buy homes, refinance. Pearl Mortgage has been serving the Chicagoland community for 20 years, actually. We celebrate our 20th year anniversary next week.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And if people like me are benefiting from that. Justin helped me with my mortgage.
Hi, Shalom. This is Esther Kapetansky. I am so happy to be here this evening. I work with Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, that small brokerage firm everybody's heard about. We're on the North Shore and in the city. I work out of the Evanston office, and I have a great bunch of people that I work for, and we sell lots of homes on the North Shore.
You sure do. So thrilled to be joined with you guys here in studio talking about a very important issue. Again, we started this discussion just a few minutes ago with Kathy Carpenter of HR Pilots, and it's an important issue. Everybody hears these days that, there's not as much availability, there's not as much inventory of houses, but and people are hearing that interest rates may rise. Perhaps, Justin and Esther, perhaps you can help me demystify what's going on out there.
The market is actually in a great recovery. We're in a very solid recovery, so people should be very optimistic into going out to purchase their first home. The market, the North Shore market, as well as the city market, is from the previous 4 years, 2014, we are up. So on the whole, the sales are up, the values are up, which is great news for anybody trying to get into the real estate market and buying or selling. Sales prices have increased from last year. The inventory is up in some areas and down in some areas, just depending on the location you're at. But I think that we're moving away from a seller's market of 2013, and we're getting back to the buyer's market. So the market is stabilizing. And I think that either way, your market is leaning towards the buyer's market now, which really is a great thing for people to go out and get their qualification, Justin, from Pearl Mortgage and look to purchase a new home today.
So with the improvement in the housing market, Justin, does that mean that people are going to be paying more with their interest rates, or are the rates still as low as perhaps the past few years?
Funny you ask. Interest rates have actually reached the low point of the year. They dropped in the fourth quarter of 2012 to the low 3% range. They kind of steadied out in 2013. And this year they've dipped below 4% for the first time in quite a while, making it very attractive for home buyers. That coupled with rising rents not only the North Shore, but among Chicagoland and so many other areas, is kind of making it the perfect storm. So high rents coupled with low rates and affordable prices make it a very attractive time to purchase a home, or at least determine if you're eligible or if it's the right time.
So let me throw a scenario at both of you. Many people have to move for the job search. They find the dream job in Skokie, Illinois, and they decide to work at the Illinois Science and Technology Park on Oakton and Skokie Boulevard. And there are indeed a lot of people that are moving to Skokie because of that center of entrepreneurship and so much else that's going on. Are you telling me that now is a good time for a first time home buyer?
Absolutely. One of the biggest problems we see is there's a big gap between the perception and the reality. The perception many young potential buyers and millennials, as you mentioned, have is, it's extremely difficult to get financing. You need a 20% or more down payment. You need perfect credit. You can't have any student loans. The list goes on and on. The reality is quite the opposite. Interest rates are very low, which I mentioned. However, that coupled with the credit floor slightly going down, we now have pretty much a 620 credit floor across the board, which is a surprise to most people. The government allows 95% financing, so you can put as little as 5% down. If you can put down more, that'd be great, but 5% down is the minimum requirement. So the barrier to entry has been a little more relaxed. In addition, the interest rate should stay low through the next 12 to 18 months. So the wind is at our back as far as the purchase market and as far as real estate is.
And Esther, a lot of people ask me this question: Why should somebody who's buying their first home? A lot of young people are pretty savvy. They know how to navigate Google pretty well. They feel that they could find almost anything. They get a good deal on a new computer. Why can't they just buy a house on their own? Why do they need a realtor?
Well, I get that question a lot now from the new buyers, the millennials, as we call them. They think that they can do it all on their own, and they can do a lot of the homework, which is great when they come and they meet me for the first time, is that they've been on the internet, they've searched all the websites, the Zillows and the Trulias and the Redfins, and they know what's out there, what's on the market, what they want to see. But you know what? They need the personal aspect of a realtor. They need somebody who's there to answer questions 24/7, which we're known to do. You can't always get a question answered from the internet. The accountability, the loyalty that we have to one another, that we're always there, ready and willing to show them a property. Sometimes they try to make an appointment online. They can't get in to see it. And then the next thing they do is they call the realtor. I need to see this house ASAP. How do I get in to see it? So I still think that we're definitely still there. We're a lot of these discount brokerage. You're going to see a lot of advertisement over the years of people trying to get discount brokerage to get listings, for a cheaper amount. Again, we don't hear people referring the discount brokers to one another. We hear people referring the agents to one another. So they're not getting something from those discount brokers. They're looking for the full service, first class service of a broker. So, and Caldwell Banker is top notch in everything that they do. And again, picking me as a broker, I'm there for you 24/7. And people truly do need somebody to talk it out with. I think that really is the importance. They need to talk it out.
Justin, when somebody's trying to buy a house, who are the key professionals that they're going to need in the purchase process?
Well, the first step is getting pre-approved, so obviously talking to a local mortgage lender or your local bank. Secondly would be the realtor. As Esther mentioned, it's important to refine your search parameters so you're looking at the right properties where the lender and the realtor help immensely in that area. And third would be an attorney to look out for your legal interests, to make sure that contractually speaking you're protected, and from a financial standpoint you're moving in a very steady pace.
Fantastic. And I've got so many more questions. And after the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about what that process will look like. Just got a text message on the screen from Sean, who is actually looking at a house, and he wants to figure out how he wants to again use that term, demystify the process. What steps will he take? You mentioned pre-approval. Maybe in a few minutes you can explain a little bit more about that. But why Pearl Mortgage? Why Pearl Mortgage? There's so many other banks that are out there. There's so many other lenders that are out there. What's the advantage of the Pearl Mortgage operation?
That's a great question. It's a question I get asked on a daily basis. Pearl Mortgage is a mortgage lender and a mortgage lender only. So all we do is help homeowners and individuals obtain financing. No checkings, no savings, no depository accounts. That being said, we really streamline the process. There's a lot of hoops and hurdles that can sometimes discourage people, and our objective is to make it a little more simplified. Not only that, but you don't want to feel like you're getting lost in the shuffle. We not only hold your hand, but educate you, support you. We're available. We work on the weekends. And the objective, again, is to make it as streamlined and stress-free as possible. So we don't want any of those horror stories you hear people, talking about at the dinner table over Thanksgiving.
Sure thing. And Esther, is your real estate network just in the North Shore? Or are you able to connect people with housing opportunities all over?
All over. We're a global company, Caldwell Banker, and that's our strength. I think that we're well connected all over. So if you're moving out of state, if you want to move from the city to Skokie, or you want to move from Skokie to another location, we're there to connect you with the right realtor to help you through that process.
We're talking to two phenomenal resources. We're talking with Justin Lopatin of Pearl Mortgage and Esther Kapetansky of Caldwell Banker. A lot more questions, as I mentioned, and after the break, we're going to hopefully answer some of those questions. Once again, you're listening to Get Down to Business, the show that is all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We heard from Kathy Carpenter of HR Pilots just before the break, and she told us to go back to the basics. Go back to the old school tips of networking and handshakes and business cards and thank you notes. And now we're talking about the housing market for first-time home buyers, for people that might just be getting into their first job. After the break, we're going to continue that discussion. We're also going to be joined by Raman Chudo of the Junto Institute, and I'm going to be sharing some tips on perfecting your elevator pitch. Keep listening to Get Down to Business. You can download all the podcasts from the show on my website, shalomklein.com. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Get Down to Business.
We live in serious